John has been my childhood friend. His dad is in business, while my dad is a doctor. I don't know what kind of karma from a past life brought us together. From holding hands to cross the street in kindergarten, to being desk mates for 6 years in elementary school, and then sitting in front of and behind each other for 3 years in middle school. I thought I could finally get rid of him when we got into high school, but who knew we'd end up sharing the same taxi on the first day of reporting? I frowned.
Young master, did all your family drivers disappear?
I'm just on the way.
On the way, my foot. Turns out he really was on the way. He joined the international department of our school. I was exasperated. Narrator, tone, hopeful. One school is just one school, I thought. After all, he would go abroad for college. Narrator, tone, serious. I kept thinking this until one day at lunch, I ran into him again.
Emma, which building is your class in? He asked softly, his voice rising at the end.
Narrator, tone, unfriendly. I pulled my best friend along.
Get lost.
Narrator, tone, serious. His friend chimed in.
A handsome guy is talking to you, and you ignore him?
Narrator, tone, angry. I shot him a cold look.
You get lost too.
Narrator, tone, serious. From then on, I decided never to eat in the cafeteria again. Narrator, tone, hopeful. Surely, I wouldn't run into him now, right? Narrator, tone, cheerful. Happily, I was catching up on homework in the dorm when my best friend, sitting on the bed opposite me, sent me a message. Narrator, tone, surprised. Lily, what should I do, Emma?
Me, what?
Narrator, tone, serious. Lily, I think I fell in love with that handsome guy we saw in the cafeteria today.
Me, so?
Narrator, tone, shy. Lily, help me chase him, please.
Me, add an S.
Narrator, tone, confused. Lily, what?
SOS.
For the first time, I stayed up all night at school, unable to figure out what had gotten into Lily's head.
All right, I admit, John is indeed handsome.
Skipping evening study, Lily and I hid in the bushes by the basketball court, waiting.
If you like him, just go for it. Why sneak around?
Who's sneaking around?
I looked down and locked eyes with a bug in the grass.
Good evening.
Aw, go away!
Then something even scarier than the bug appeared.
Why is it you two again?
Can't we enjoy the moon?
The sky, filled with dark clouds, began to thunder at the worst possible moment.
More like enjoying the thunder god.
I came to a conclusion.
Lily must be out of her mind to like John. No, anyone who likes John must be out of their mind.
That night, back in the dorm, I ranted under the covers.
This is ridiculous.
Then I deleted everything.
I'll show them.
I left a post on the school wall.
Anyone who likes John, I'll laugh at them for life.
The day after I posted that, both online and school bullying hit me simultaneously. During class, a paper note fell from above and hit my face. The note was filled with different handwriting. The gist of it was, who is the person with the username Sophia pulling up the willow tree? I pressed my lips together and quietly destroyed the evidence. The morning started with an unexpected encounter.
Young master, did all your family drivers disappear?
I'm just on the way.
I thought to myself, on the way, my foot. Turns out he really was on the way. He joined the international department of our school. I was exasperated. I've always been a top student, even in high school. I had always been the model student. In my entire life, the only person I've ever hit was John. This was the first time I had to call my parents to school. I later heard that Dad had cancelled a whole morning of surgeries to come to school. I just kept my head down, not daring to speak. It was so unfair. A crowd had gathered outside the office, including John, the culprit. Mr. Smith talked to Dad about the dangers of early relationships for nearly an hour, from 7:30 to 8:30. When she finally finished, I got up to leave, only to meet Dad's stern face. It felt like a bolt of lightning struck me.
Emma, get in the car.
Sure enough, Dad called me to the car.
I really wasn't in an early relationship.
Emma, Dad allows you to date as long as you maintain your grades.
I looked at him in disbelief, and he added,
But it can't be with John.
But why?
Dad cut me off.
Your mom and I are going on a business trip this month, so you'll stay in the dormitory for now.
But.
No buts. It's already decided. Go back to class.
Dad could be so overbearing at times. After getting out of the car, I didn't return to the classroom. Today was review day, so it was all self-study. I wasn't too concerned about the love letter incident. Even if I were really dating, it wouldn't matter to me. What bothered me was that they left me at school without a word. I sat on the steps of the playground.
They said I was a good kid, so they indulged me. They said I was a good kid, so I could live independently. They said I was a good kid, so I could be left behind. But good kids need lots and lots of love too.
I just sat there, staring blankly, trying to forget everything by emptying my mind. Until a figure appeared in front of me.
Why aren't you in class?
I didn't answer him. He stood there for a moment, then apologized.
Sorry, I didn't know this would blow up. I'll explain on the school wall and talk to your dad.
What did your dad say to you?
He squatted down and poked my head.
Really mad?
I finally looked up to meet his gaze, feeling the tears stream down my face. He seemed taken aback for a moment, then wiped my tears away.
I told you I'd handle it. What's there to cry about?
It's nothing, just a stomachache.
At the breakfast shop, John propped his head up, looking at me.
Not that simple, is it?
What's not simple?
When you broke your arm as a kid, the girl next to you cried until she fainted, but you didn't shed a single tear.
I was stunned for a moment and looked up. For a second, I was sure he was stunned too. Until a napkin brushed my lips. I stared at him, and his hand froze.
Want to wipe it yourself?
My parents are going on a business trip this month.
And then?
And then what? Can I stay at your place?
He nodded.
Settled then.
He got up, grabbed his school jacket, and left. I slammed the table and stood up.
Damn it! John didn't pay the bill.
Emma frowned as she addressed John, clearly puzzled.
John, did all your family drivers vanish?
I'm just on the way.
Emma thought to herself, on the way, my foot. But it turned out he really was on the way. He joined the international department of their school. Emma felt a mix of exasperation and relief. For some reason, after discovering John's secret, I didn't run into him at school for a while. It's normal for wealthy people to have a more open lifestyle. The next time I saw John was during the Chinese New Year visits. John and I aren't exactly relatives, but our families visit each other every year. However, this time, it wasn't just our family visiting. The adults said they needed to discuss some high-end topics and shooed me towards John's room. When I entered, the room was eerily quiet. Something felt off. Narrator, tone, curious. Usually, when I visit his house, he's either playing video games or watching anime. I glanced at the time. It was only 10 o'clock. No way he's this laid back. I knocked on the door twice.
I'm coming in.
As soon as I said that, the sound from the room hit me like a ton of bricks. I heard John mutter under his breath before getting up from his gaming chair.
John, tone, annoyed. I just managed to get this little one to sleep.
My hand was still on the doorknob as my eyes followed John to the baby on the bed.
Me, tone, surprised. Why is there a baby sleeping in your room?
How should I know? He started crying as soon as I walked in.
John picked up the baby, mimicking an adult by placing the baby's head on his shoulder. I walked over to look at the baby from behind him.
Me, tone, gentle, such a good baby.
I raised my hand and gently pinched the baby's cheek. John's body suddenly stiffened.
John, tone, serious? Does it have to be called baby?
What else would you call it? Didn't your mom call you a baby when you were little? Little John? Johnny? Or Johnny baby?
You call your child baby, so what do you call your husband?
We'll deal with that when the time comes.
John turned around with the baby in his arms.
So what do you call your boyfriend now?
My hand paused in midair before dropping down.
I've been single for 16 years. Where would I get a boyfriend?
He looked at me intensely, seeming a bit irritated.
Oh, you mean this?
I suddenly remembered the mark.
It's gone, see?
What good is that? Can't you get another one?
Are you going to give me one?
Ask your boyfriend to give you one.
He gently placed the baby back on the bed and pulled up the blanket. Such a domestic scene.
I'm really not in a relationship. If I were, it would only be with physics.
He turned his head, his face hidden in the shadows.
Who's physics? What about you? Which guy in our class do you have your eye on?
I couldn't see John's expression, but I had a feeling his face darkened.
John, tone, shouting, I'm not into guys.
With that shout, the baby started crying again. Later, it seemed like John really did start dating someone.
According to the campus wall, John is not only the school heartthrob but also one of the top students in the international department. No wonder he has so many admirers.
The first time Emma heard John had a girlfriend was in a post on the campus wall during their sophomore year. The post included a picture of John walking with a girl, just their backs, but they were very close.
Was he really dating someone? I didn't believe it.
Lying in bed, Emma scrolled through the comments, engrossed in the gossip. Half an hour passed before she remembered she still had a math problem to solve.
Focus on the problem. What's wrong with me?
She propped up her desk and opened her workbook. After reading the problem once, her eyes couldn't help but glance at her phone notifications.
One last look and then sleep.
Then John appeared in her dream like a ghost. She dreamt that John was holding a girl's hand under the lights, announcing into a microphone, "This is my wife." The girl's face was blurry and indistinct in the dream.
What just happened?
In any case, it was the earliest she had ever woken up for school. Emma checked the time, 4:50 a.m. With the mindset of getting an early start, she quietly got ready and left the dorm. The cafeteria opened at 5 a.m., and she thought she would be the first one there. But when she sat down with her tray, she was proven wrong. There were two people already there, John and the girl from the photo. Emma confirmed it was 5 a.m., and she knew John always woke up early. But was the international department always this intense?
Why is she holding a workbook and asking questions?
The cafeteria was eerily silent. Emma clearly heard the girl talking to John.
I really like you. Can we give it a try? I remember we both aimed for the same school.
Sorry, but I already like someone else.
Emma almost choked.
Her. I've liked her for many years. I plan to marry her someday.
Cough, cough, cough.
Are you okay?
I'm fine.
Of course, she wasn't okay. Having known John for so many years, except for that one time at his house when he half-jokingly mentioned liking someone in their class, he had never talked about liking anyone.
Couldn't you come up with a better excuse to turn someone down?
But he heard her.
Emma, what do you mean by that?
John, I've known you for 17 years. If you really liked someone, wouldn't I have noticed?
He was silent for a while.
Fine, I hope you never figure it out.
He left the girl there and walked away. Emma exchanged awkward glances with the girl.
Are you childhood friends?
Yes.
That's nice. My childhood friend passed away from stomach cancer in our 3rd year of middle school. It's been over 2 years now. Childhood friends always end up liking each other, right?
My condolences.
During self-study, Emma pondered.
Do childhood friends always end up liking each other? How could I possibly have those feelings for John?
She couldn't figure it out. It definitely wasn't familial love. But it seemed to go far beyond friendship. John left for abroad much earlier than I had imagined. The afternoon after my college entrance exams, Dad came to pick me up.
John is already in the US. By the way, how do you think you did?
I nodded blankly, staring out the window, watching a leaf drift down from a tree.
I should be able to pass the key line.
John went to the US. When will we meet again? 3 years later? That's what I thought back then, feeling as if I had lost something precious, dazed for a long time. Now, I'm walking on the campus of B University, messaging a friend I met online. His nickname is Olivia. His IP address is in the US. He said he couldn't find any foreign friends to chat with, and I was lonely too, so we started talking. We ended up chatting online for almost half a semester, from discussing our personalities and habits to sharing our daily lives. Honestly, the internet is a magical thing. This morning, he sent me a message asking if I was in a relationship.
Are you in a relationship?
No.
Feeling it wasn't enough, I added, never.
He replied with a cat emoji and asked, "Do you have someone you like?"
I started typing, no. After a moment's thought, I deleted those 2 words. Finally, after some back and forth, I replied, maybe not.
You are really cute.
This was the first time in months that I seriously thought about my relationship with John. I couldn't figure it out. Do science students really not have a romantic side? Driven by some impulse, I sent this online friend a voice message for the first time.
I have a childhood friend. He's also studying in the US.
I thought he would ask, "Are you still in touch?" or make a joke. But instead, he asked,
"Do you like him?"
I replied with a speechless bunny emoji. I don't know, but I haven't seen him for almost half a year.
I sent another voice message.
"Do you want to see him?"
Haha, as if I could see him tonight.
Your friend has gone offline. I sighed, put away my phone, and opened my computer to organize today's notes. Narrator, tone, serious at midnight. I was scrolling through videos, just about to lie down. Suddenly, a message popped up from John, who had been missing for a year.
John, tone, serious, I want to get married.
Narrator, tone, sad. I stared at the message for a long time, lost in thought. It felt like the empty hole in my heart was suddenly filled with ice. A chilling coldness spread through my entire body. Narrator, tone, sad. I realized my feelings for John were a kind of indescribable affection. But now, he was telling me he wanted to get married. I remembered he mentioned it back in our second year of high school. He had someone he really liked, someone he planned to marry. Narrator, tone, serious. I opened the chat box, typed a few words, and then deleted them. In the end, I changed with whom to a single word.
Emma, tone, hopeful, congrats.
Narrator, tone, sad. I leaned against the wall, closed my eyes, and tried to gather my thoughts. Forget it, let it be. I posted a selfie on the campus wall with the caption,
Emma, tone, hopeful first-year medical student looking for a partner.
Narrator, tone, serious. I included my contact information. After all, I wasn't bad looking. I slept fitfully through the night, and when I woke up the next day, I had a strange headache. I took my temperature.
Emma, tone, shocked, 38 degrees Celsius. No way, a fever?
Narrator, tone, serious. I didn't think much of it, hoping it would go away on its own. I grabbed my phone from the bedside table to order some food. A message popped up on the lock screen.
Emma, tone, shocked, account credited with 10 million yuan. Wait, how much? 10 million yuan?
Narrator, tone, serious. I reassured myself it must be a spam message, but when I unlocked the screen, the message was still there.
Emma, tone, shocked, received 10 million yuan. Note, bride price.
Narrator, tone, serious. I instantly wondered if I was delirious from the fever. Could it be that someone saw my post on the campus wall and took a liking to me? No way, am I really that charming? Narrator, tone, serious. I checked my WeChat and saw over a dozen friend requests. But after asking around, none of them admitted to sending the money. No way, am I going to have to post a missing person notice after just posting a partner search? I really did post a missing person notice. But by evening, my phone was still silent. Narrator, tone, serious. Realizing the seriousness of the situation, I began to think it through. So, the first step in thinking it through was to open my phone. Screenshot. As the saying goes, don't panic, take a photo and post it on social media first.
Emma, tone, serious. I opened the chat app, intending to share this with a friend. But I noticed his IP address had changed to City B. What? Wasn't he in the US yesterday?
Narrator, tone, surprised. Just as I was about to ask about the IP change, a call came in. It was John.
Emma, tone, serious. I answered the call. A deep voice came from the other end.
John, tone, serious, come see me.
Emma, tone, angry. Are you kidding me? You want me to fly to the US to see you?
Narrator, tone, serious. Actually, hearing his voice, I already had a suspicion. Now, I just needed him to confirm it.
John, tone, relieved. I'm at the gate of your school.
Narrator, tone, serious. He confirmed it. I quickly got up and went to the window, seeing John standing by the road with his phone. He was wearing a white hoodie, one hand in his pocket, the other holding the phone to his ear.
John, tone, serious. Can you hear me?
Emma, tone, shocked. You're back?
John, tone, serious. Didn't you see me?
Narrator, tone, serious. I saw him lift his head, seemingly looking at me.
Emma, tone, serious. Why are you here so late?
John, tone, serious. To catch up.
Narrator, tone, serious. I hung up, still not quite understanding what he meant by catching up. He took me to a fancy bar.
Emma, tone, serious. What old times do we have to catch up on?
Narrator, tone, serious. I had taken some cold medicine in the afternoon, so I only ordered a freshly squeezed juice.
John, tone, serious. Didn't you miss me at all while I was abroad for a year?
Narrator, tone, serious. The colorful lights of the bar reflected off his now mature face, and for some reason, I saw a hint of longing in his eyes.
Emma, tone, serious. I was busy with reading, classes, taking notes, and club activities. I didn't even have time to answer Lily's calls, let alone think about you.
John, tone, serious. Oh? He lowered his head, swirling the liquid in his glass, a faint smile on his lips.
Narrator, tone, serious. I fidgeted with my clothes, my gaze unconsciously drifting to the glass window beside us.
John, tone, serious. You're lying. John, tone, serious. You're lying, Emma.
Narrator, tone, serious. I felt a shiver run through me. Yes, I was lying. I had forgotten that this young master had gone to the US to study psychology.
Emma, tone, serious. I am not.
Narrator, tone, serious. In that moment of eye contact, all my inner turmoil turned into something tangible, weighing on my heart. His gaze seemed to scrutinize me, examining the truth behind my lie.
Emma, tone, serious. How have you been?
Narrator, tone, serious. I felt my question was quite redundant. From head to toe, he was dressed in clothes worth thousands, if not tens of thousands. Rich and powerful, with a face that could charm anyone. If he wasn't doing well, then who was?
John, tone, serious. Not well, not at all.
Narrator, tone, serious. He slumped over the table.
Emma, tone, cheerful. John, are you being dramatic? With all your wealth, what could possibly be wrong?
Narrator, tone, sad. He seemed drunk, just tilting his head slightly and mumbling something.
John, tone, sad. Isn't it because of you? Why do you think I came back?
Narrator, tone, serious. He stopped talking.
Emma, tone, confused. What?
Narrator, tone, serious. I didn't catch what he said, but it sounded like, isn't it because of you? I reached out and poked his face.
Emma, tone, serious. If he can't handle one drink, why is he even drinking? Does he think he's an adult?
Narrator, tone, serious. I checked the time. It was too late to go back to the dorm. Taking him to his parents' house didn't seem right either. He had just returned to the country, seemingly only left with money. I squatted beside him, searching his jacket pockets for his ID. Narrator, tone, serious. As I lifted my hand, my wrist was suddenly grabbed by a slender hand.
John, tone, whispering. What are you looking for?
Emma, tone, serious. Where's your ID? I looked up, meeting his gaze from above.
Narrator, tone, serious. He thought for a moment, then suddenly smiled.
Emma, tone, serious John, can you sober up? I'm asking where your ID is.
John, tone, whispering, why do you need my ID? For what?
Narrator, tone, serious. I opened my mouth, about to mention the hotel. But he continued on his own.
John, tone, whispering, do you want to marry me?
Narrator, tone, serious. I froze, vaguely hearing him mumble, sure. I knew he was drunk and not thinking clearly. But the look in his eyes when he spoke was more determined than ever. The night wind felt chilling. Narrator, tone, serious. I sat in the taxi, John leaning on my shoulder, his breathing falling softly on my ear. I watched the trees swaying outside the window. Every falling leaf has a different fate, a different destination. Just like John and me. We were childhood playmates, but our destinies were different. Narrator, tone, serious. John restlessly moved his head. Through the flickering streetlights outside, I stared at his long eyelashes. Who would his future belong to? Some wealthy heiress or a popular actress? I couldn't help but feel a bit sad, reaching out to smooth his hair. But he grabbed my arm, his breath warm against my neck, reaching my heart.
John, tone, whispering, I miss you so much.
Narrator, tone, serious. I saw a withered flower outside the window, and in the chaos of my heartbeat, I imagined it in full bloom. I knew that every flutter of my heart couldn't escape the whims of fate. It was my first time booking a room with a guy. A 6-foot-tall man, and this is all he can handle? I helped him onto the bed and muttered. As soon as he hit the bed, he grabbed onto me and wouldn't let go. Seriously, I never noticed he was like this when he drank before.
Said, John, I'm going to count to 3. If you don't let go, I'll throw you out.
3, 2.
He turned over.
Call me baby, and I'll let go.
I regretted it. I should have just booked him a flight back to the States.
Said, look at me, John. I'm telling you one more time, let go.
I threatened him, but he wouldn't budge.
No, call me baby.
Fine, I gave in. It was so embarrassing. After knowing him for over 10 years, now I had to call him baby. The moment those words left my mouth, John pulled me down onto the bed. I didn't dare touch him, struggling to keep my hands on the bed, almost twisting my wrist. From this angle, I could see a faint blush on John's fair cheeks. He opened his eyes slightly to look at me. The next second, he sat up and kissed me. My mind went blank, followed by a flood of exclamations. Would knocking him out count as self-defense? I got up to rinse my mouth, cursing John 1,000 times in my head. For someone with a prominent family background, how could he act like this after just a couple of drinks? Even a few peanuts would have been better. But losing my first kiss like this, I felt a bit uneasy. No, I thought to myself, I can't let this slide. With that in mind, I picked up the phone on the table and instinctively entered my birthday. It unlocked. I realized it was John's phone. His phone? And it was unlocked. I felt like fate was on my side. I ran to the bed, pinched his face, and took a photo. I posted it on his social media with the caption, "Lonely Night." Just as I posted it, a message popped up on his WeChat.
John, where's the gift you promised to bring me from your trip?
My heart sank. I couldn't figure it out. I thought I knew him well enough. But why had he never told me he liked someone?
Then again, from another perspective, maybe it wasn't something I needed to know.
I wanted to ask him that day, but some things perhaps aren't meant for me to know. I aimlessly scrolled through my phone. John had gone back to the US without a word. A notification popped up on a chat app.
Sophia, can we have an online relationship?
Olivia's IP address had switched back to the US. It was all a bit suspicious.
Aren't there any girls in America?
At the same time, I saw a message on WeChat. Hello, I'm a freshman in the acting department. Can we get to know each other? Right below that message was John. I didn't have many contacts on WeChat. I stared at the two message boxes for a few seconds and quickly replied to one.
How about we meet for lunch?
Then I replied to Olivia.
Sorry, I have a boyfriend.
Mia had put on makeup and carefully selected her outfit. For the first time, I felt like I was being overly pretentious. A man in casual attire walked towards us. Given that he was a future heartthrob, he was indeed pleasing to the eye.
Miss Emma, right? Hello, I'm Ethan.
After he introduced himself, my eyes lit up. The name Ethan sounded familiar. It seemed like he was the heir of some company.
Have we met before?
Yes, I was also a student at Nanyang High School.
I remember now. You were the handsome guy who transferred from the international department to the class next to ours in the second semester of our first year.
So I was that famous, huh?
Of course, I saw you mentioned many times on the confession wall.
I still remember there was a post about a girl named Sophia pulling a willow tree out of the ground. That post was talked about for 3 years, and even the juniors are still discussing it.
He laughed heartily, and I almost choked on my water. Helping a friend pass a love letter had made me a legend.
Actually, I still don't understand whether that girl liked.
No! Absolutely not!
Look at my determined eyes, buddy. I beg you, don't continue.
That guy went abroad to study, right? I heard from the dorm that the girl was also very cute.
Ethan, shouldn't we be talking about things between us?
You're right, sorry. Do you think I'm more handsome than the school heartthrob from the international department?
Actually, I think I should spend more time on my studies.
Are you saying we should discuss our future careers now?
I grabbed my bag and stood up.
No, I mean, we're not suitable.
I thought I might be alone for the next 4 years. Who would have thought this young master would start pursuing me? Now I just want to shout to the heavens, what did I ever do to deserve this from these young masters? Every day, when I open my dorm room door, there's a bouquet of flowers waiting for me. And the same message on the card, Miss Emma, I think we should have a deeper conversation. On the 5th day, I finally couldn't take it anymore and made a call.
Ethan, are you out of your mind?
Miss Emma, have you decided to have a chat with me?
Do you see the rooftop of the art building?
I see it. Are we meeting there?
Roll off it, and I'll meet you at your grave.
I hung up after saying that and vented to Olivia for 80 messages. Of course, I never would have guessed that this handsome guy, acting like a lovesick puppy, also vented about me to John in America for 80 messages. The school. In the dead of night, I had no idea how long I had been running against the strong wind. I failed my driving test, and I knew I couldn't get a cab. Exhausted, I sat down on a bench by the roadside. Sure enough, John was following me.
Emma, tone, unfriendly, I told you we're not right for each other. Why are you following me?
He had run all the way, bent over to catch his breath, and smiled at me.
John, Tone, cheerful, you said you missed me last time, so I came back.
Emma, Tone, serious, when did I ever say I missed you?
John, Tone, friendly, I thought you recognized that account.
The account he mentioned, could it be the one named Olivia?
Emma, Tone, curious, and Ethan.
John, Tone, serious, I arranged that.
A statement.
John, Tone, serious, Emma, do you really not have even a little bit of feelings for me?
Emma, Tone, serious, no.
John, Tone, serious, you're lying again, Emma.
Emma, Tone, angry, I said no.
John, Tone, sincere, but I do.
He squatted down and took my hand.
John, Tone, sincere, but I really like you.
I pulled my hand away.
Emma, Tone, serious, didn't you hear what I just said?
John, Tone, hopeful, I understand. The story of the prince marrying the princess.
His voice was more sincere than ever, each word striking my heart.
John, Tone, hopeful, can you grant me a birthday wish?
The moment he leaned in, I could hardly breathe. I could only let his breath brush past my face.
John, Tone, sincere, can you be my princess?
His cool lips covered mine, as if he didn't want to know my answer, defining my future with a kiss. It was as passionate as summer rain. Time seemed to stand still, while the lingering summer breeze roared. The wind couldn't blow away the lingering clouds, nor could it blow away youthful love.
Emma, Tone, curious, is this a proposal?
John, Tone, hopeful, are you saying yes?
I leaned back and questioned him.
Emma, Tone, serious, then who was that woman earlier, and what's your relationship with her?
He chuckled softly.
John, Tone, amused, or are you jealous?
Emma, Tone, serious, no.
John leaned in and rubbed his face against mine.
John, Tone, cheerful, in a while, I'll introduce my girlfriend to my aunt properly.
Emma, Tone, surprised, your aunt?
John, Tone, cheerful, yes.
Emma, Tone, puzzled, what the heck, I thought.
He reached out and lightly tapped my nose.
John, Tone, playful, thought what, Mrs. John?
Emma, Tone, curious, Mr. John, are you really not short of money?
John, Tone, playful, Mr. John is not short of money.
He sat down beside me and took my hand.
John, Tone, sincere, Mr. John is short of love. Can you give me a little more love?
It wasn't until 3 years later that I found out. The love letter I helped Lily deliver to John was never read by him. But he did write a reply back then, he just never got the chance to give it to me. One day, while tidying up the room, I found the now yellowed letter among his pile of junk. The letter read,
I don't know when it started, but I could no longer feel the warmth of spring or the chill of winter. Later, a belated autumn told me there was a girl who was my long and enduring Olivia.
Outside the window, the sunset poured in.
The end.